But I mean, contrast to Zombie, I think going discless is actually going to hurt gamers in the long run. I don't like that the gaming industry is going to go
Neither of my
discless.
PCs have disk drives.
Okay, but here's the thing. With Microsoft and Sony, I don't think we see games go on sale as often on the digital market as on the physical market. When you go to GameStop, you can go see, and everyone knows Patriot. Patriot even said, he went on the Xbox store, saw a game for $45.
Red Dead.
Right. He went to GameStop, and it was what, like $35 or something, and it was much cheaper because there's a physical copy. Gamers.
It doesn't make sense because you're actually there's manufacturing costs. How can something that you manufacture be cheaper than something that you don't manufacture?
But here's the thing, with digital copies, they can just put out as many codes as they want. When they physically print it, they want to get rid of every single one of those copies. They've already put the money into that. They're not getting any returns until it's sold. With doing a digital copy, you're not using any of your resources to put everything out there. It's there. You give someone a code, it's there. You're not getting a box, you're not getting a DVD, you're not taking the time to write it onto a DVD, you're not shipping it. There's so much more cost that you want to make sure you get some sort of revenue from that, and you don't have to worry about all of that with the digital market, which is why they're not so pressed to put on sale in the digital market. Physical market, yeah, it'll go on sale a lot faster and it'll go a lot cheaper than you're ever going to see it on the digital market, because it's there. It's there forever.
Yeah, I think the reason why retail, like a box copy, goes on sale a lot quicker and things like that is because the game maker's already been paid for that. So when the retailer buys, 50 copies of Halo 27, Microsoft has already had 50 lots of money for Halo 27. So they don't give a shit what you're doing with that. Right, so if the retailer has 50 copies of Halo 27 on the shelves, they only managed to sell 3. They now have 47 copies of Halo 27 sat around that they're not making any money for. So to make something back, they drop the price. With a digital copy, Steam isn't paying for it until they sell it, because the codes are, just get sent over from Microsoft. So that's why the only time that you'll see those going on sale is to boost the sale. So if it's not getting much traction, Microsoft will say, just drop those prices just a smidge. Stick 20% off. This is how many copies we're going to make available for you to sell at that price. And then they'll just hit it, hammer it. That's why you'll see it on the front screen saying, Halo 27, woo, 20% off, is to shift those copies so Steam is getting some extra money. I think probably in 5 years, you're not going to have any retail stores. I think they will go the way of the Dodo.
Blockbuster.
I agree. I think we're going that way. I think gaming, the industry is going to suffer.
Definitely, because there'll be no reason then for someone to drop the cost of a game.
Right. And that's the thing.
It's the only place you can get it is online. So
because even when I went to go buy Horizon Zero Dawn, it was the complete collection, and it came with the DLCs and some other stuff in there. Sony actually told GameStop, "Hey, you can sell this game for $20," and it was the whole entire collection. It was maybe 2 years after it came out still, but they just decided to package together. I went to GameStop. There was a used game for $30. I bought brand new with the DLC for less. Than a used copy, and I guarantee you, it was less than I would have spent in the PlayStation Store as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it was a PlayStation sponsored deal too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn this the other way. One thing that I always like about having the hard copies is whenever I have friends over, it's like, oh, pick a game, and then I just show them the massive wall of game boxes I have. It's something I personally take pride in, and that may just be I'm weird, but that's to me is something that is always going to have value, something that's always going to be like, oh, what do you want to play? Because when I go through my Steam library thinking like, oh, what's something I can record for later, there are games I skip over, and then when I go back, I'm just like, oh yeah, I have that thing. So I feel like having a hard copy isn't going to go away entirely, but I feel like it's going to become less. It's going to be...
And that's why I kind of...
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's why I kind of like what Xbox is doing with one of their systems. I forget what the code name was for it, because next gen they have Scarlet and Anaconda.
Yeah,
that's their
Anaconda
code names
is like
for...
meant to be the Xbox X version, isn't it?
It's the
Anaconda
it's
is the all bells and whistles.
Yeah, it's going to be like the premium console experience. It's going to be more powerful than the X and have whatever. I mean, granted. But, I mean, I even did some research on the next gen for both consoles. But, I mean, that's the one thing that they're doing, I think, well, is that if you still want the disk drive, it's there. But I honestly, I don't think the price is going to drop that much for gamers. Because they may take it out, but... then you're going to be reliant on external hard drives more. You're going to be reliant on, all these other ways to be able to hold more games, whereas you're not putting as much data onto your system with a physical copy. You're putting some on there, but not as much.
Yeah. I think, like, one of the things that they could do to minimize the, how much storage is needed to bring in the always online thing, because then you can have some of that over a cloud system, so you're not having to have 100% of the content on your hard drive. You can have whatever's needed just to run the game, and then textures and things like that are cached and downloaded as part of a cloud system, which is what you get on some PC games. That's why if you have a look, AAA games that are available on console as well are 50-60 gig to download, and then you download a PC only game and it's 20 gig. And you're like, why?
And yeah, that's the thing. But I mean, with consoles, I think we're going to see a lot more you're going to have to pay for the cloud services. You're going to have to pay for
probably. I mean, if they can find a way to charge you for something, they'll do that.
Exactly, and that's why I think we're going to be hurt by all of this with everything being put on to the console itself. You're going to lose more, I think, than you're gaining.
Probably. I mean, it's definitely not a consumer benefit to not have those things. Because having a disc drive is awesome because it gives you the option of trading your game in when you finish it. If it's single player, because that's one of the things I used to dislike about some PS4 exclusives. 90% of them are single player, and I rarely complete a single player game because I tend to get bored. But I'll play the shit out of multiplayer. So I had a lot of... I mean, Last of Us I have bought on PS3 and PS4. I have stopped playing it in exactly the same place on both, and I still have both copies here because I haven't got around to trading them in, because in theory I'm going to finish them one day. But one of the things that you have that's good is, I think, is it GameStop in America have announced that something stupid, within 48 hours you can take the game in and get a full refund.
Yep.
That's one thing I've taken advantage of when I was...
we've both done that.
Yeah. When I was in high school and stuff, I'd buy a game, I'd take $20, go buy a game, come back, play it, take the same $20, go back and here, I want to return this. They give me the money, come back a day later, here, I want another game.
Well, that was one of the benefits of Blockbuster in the day, was you could go and just rent a copy of the game for £2 or something.
Yeah.
Go home, absolutely hammer the shit out of it over a weekend, and then take it back.
And you can still do that, but with Redbox does it now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have Redbox in the UK.
I don't think so. Probably not.
Very popular here, though.
We're a very backwards country.
It's still there, but I mean, Redbox has gone down with the innovation of streaming and everything else. Yeah. But I mean, the gaming industry is not ready for streaming. For streaming games.
No, yeah.
And that's why I'm worried about also the Stadia. That's going to be a problem. I think it's too early. I know
Yeah.
Google's handling it, and if anyone's going to do it, Google is probably the company to do it. But gaming and technology is not there yet. It's too early.
I don't think it's too early. It's just it won't be cost effective. The technology may be there to do it, but the price is gonna. You might as well just buy a gaming PC or everything else.
But
instead of
they've
doing
even
that.
shown it doesn't work. When they were showing it at their expo, they were playing Assassin's Creed, I think Origins or Odyssey, one of the two, and they had like one other game, and you had a lot of instancing and you had a lot of kind of jumping around. It wasn't a smooth experience, and if you have a casual gamer who doesn't really care about a little bit of that stuff, that's fine. But if you're playing multiplayer games, or if you're going to stream your content, so you're at to stream your content, or you're going to have to stream your game to your PC and then stream that to Twitch or Mixer or whatever you're using, and it's not going to translate well.
Yeah, I mean, even like data speeds alone, there's going to be some sort of latency. There's going to be input lag. So depending on the game that you're playing, like a first-person shooter, for instance, multiplayer first-person shooter would be an absolute fucking nightmare. You're playing that against someone who's just playing it natively on, let's say, PUBG. I'm playing Nate on PUBG, but I'm playing it from my dedicated gaming PC, and you're streaming it on whatever. Then, yeah, you'll struggle because, like, even the fraction delay in like you inputting something and it happening is going to be a massive detriment. But if you're playing Crash Bandicoot, Mario Kart, something like that, you're probably just not going to notice it.
Maybe.
But yeah, I agree that I don't think it's probably not the time for it to like take over, revolutionize gaming. I think other companies have tried it, and whereas I mean Google, so have like infinite money, infinite resources to put into it. Other like dedicated gaming people like Steam and Razer, things like that, have tried it already and found that it didn't work as well as they thought it would.
Well, even PlayStation took a whack at it with their what is it?
Now.
Their PS Now.
Yeah.
And you play PlayStation 3 games on their servers, you stream it to your PS4, and you play it from there. It didn't work all that well, and there's a lot of problems with doing it.
Yeah, it came out on PC as well, didn't it? They released it on PC that you could stream PS Now.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, it just didn't work overly well. But
No.
I actually used it for 2-3 months trying to play Red Dead Redemption. I want to whip out my PS3 and everything, and the quality was it's horrible. All riding on a horse, just going through, just so pixelated. It's like playing on like 280p or something like that. It was so bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, you even see what it's like just streaming, TV sometimes.
Yeah.
There'll be even this, like you can see on the recording, we're streaming just video, and there'll be every so often there'll be
Twitch.
drop in res for like Nate's screen, a drop in res for Kyle's stream or something.
Yeah.
And I mean that's literally just video and audio. There's no input from us.
And we're not even doing anything. It's not graphically intensive. We're not moving around. We're not causing a whole lot of delay or anything.
Yeah.
Latency. It's just us sitting here and talking, and there's still problems.
And
So if it's
let's
sorry,
just
no,
assume
go ahead.
We all have gamer quality internet.
Oh yeah.
And we're still having these issues. I know we have at least 120 minutes. so like it's a problem that we might not be there to be able to handle it. And if we were there technologically, it's way too expensive.
And that's the thing. Only
yeah.
people that are serious about gaming, that people that are going to put in the money for it, are going to be able to take advantage of it. If you have, single income family, living in, the country, they're not going to have access to good internet, and let alone good equipment. They're going to have, maybe, $1,000 PC and, subpar internet. It's not going to work. But, so, I mean, we can move over, since we're talking more about games anyways, we can either go to my last topic or just, call it whatever you guys want to do.
Well, I want to say one more thing about
Oh, okay.
Discless, so
Here we go.
I want to clarify because the discless. I don't think that discless should be a thing as like the general console. I think it's a good alternative for a console. Like they come out with the base Xbox, and then they're like, all right, for $150 less, because I think the discless one's coming out at like $250, like on release. That is really cheap for a console. And if you wanted to just play a few exclusives or just had a few games that you want to play, it's the price of like a Switch, and it's like not a big deal and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, and
I just want to clarify that.
I do think there's a space for it. However, I'm worried that that's the future of gaming, and I don't think I think it's the wrong direction for us.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. But
Yeah, I
a
think
good add-on.
it's definitely not like a consumer friendly thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think from the console makers and the game makers, I think it's definitely the way they would like it to go.
Yeah.
Because for each game, even if they're selling a game at like, you know, a slightly reduced cost or whatever when it's a sale on, each time they're selling a digital copy of the game, that's new revenue. But for those disc copies, they could have brand new copies sat on there, and if GameStop is offering you a 100% refund every time you take your game back, they're not seeing any of that money coming back to them. That's just all GameStop money. Mr. GameStop's happy as Larry, but Mr. Microsoft's saying, why have you only sold one copy of this game? It's like, well, actually, we've sold that one copy 50,000 times.
Right.
But it's still only one copy that we've sent you money for. And you saw that, like, what, 5 years ago or something, where people like Uplay and I think EA had a multiplayer code that you had to put in when you bought your game.
Yep.
When you bought your game, there was a like little code thing that you had to put in. They gave you some free DLC or whatever, but it also unlocked the multiplayer part of the game. And you could only use that code once. So yes, you could go trade in the game and like buy it for a cheaper version. But then when you got home, if there was any multiplayer content, you had to buy DLC, which was the equivalent of the cost of a new game, and that was how they were getting their money back. Right. So I think for a while now, they've wanted to snuff out the retail. Retail was always like, it got your console or your game pushed over because you could offer the retailer like an incentive. You could offer them more commission or whatever for sales to push your product to, have the Xbox at the front of the store, which, everyone's seeing it when they first come in. Right. If Sony are offering you more money, then all of a sudden the Xbox gets pushed further and further at the back of the store where it's like less seen. Mm-hmm. Now it's Sony, Microsoft know that they can probably advertise it cheaper through Twitch and YouTube influencers or whatever they want to call us.
You get a lot of free advertisement through Twitch these days.
Yeah, in theory they don't need the retailer anymore, so if they can cut out that expense but still push their product, it might screw over the consumer, but they've got no incentive to play nice. Because at the end of the day, whichever company it is, it just comes down to how much money they're going to make.
And that's also why I think we're not going to see as many sales on games. People are going to be able to see the game. They're going to be able to see 50 different people playing the same game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think like single player games definitely have probably seen a massive hit in their sales because of Twitch and things like that. I mean, even I've done it. I've seen games like what was it? Can't remember. Oh, What Happened to Edith Finch?
Oh.
That looked like a really interesting game. I've seen it played. I now don't need to play that game. I've seen everything I need to with that game. It was beautiful. I don't need to play it. Thank you for saving me the money.
Yeah.
Multiplayer games is different because you'll see your favorite Twitch streamer or whatever play it, and then you'll think, "Oh my god, that game looks amazing. I need to play it."
I can join them.
Or I can join them and things like that.
That could be me.
Who'd want to join their streamer playing a game?
Someone who wants to ruin the stream.
Yeah.
The other day, some friends and I were playing Overwatch, and a guy in the game said, "Oh yeah, I'm streaming. Check it out." And of course, we were just dicking around. We weren't actually like playing the game seriously, and it was like PvE, so we were just doing absolute bullshit. We checked out the guy's stream. We were his only viewer, And because we were just dicking around, the guy's like, "Oh man, this Farah sucks. What's he doing?" And we're just like, "We can't tell him that's his only viewer. We
That's
can't."
me. Unsubscribe.
Reported.
Toxic.
I mean, to be fair, he was being murdered while we were sitting on top of the dropship dancing. So, if anything, we were the toxic ones, but we decided that before we knew he was streaming.
Yeah, I think the next, well, maybe not the very next generation, but within the next couple of generations, it's going to move more to a PC style of experience. I think it'll still be cheaper, but I don't think it's going to be much cheaper. I would be surprised if this generation we don't get the first, like, just under $1,000 console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, didn't PS4 already announce their price?
I don't know if they've announced a price yet. It's just been like
They announced
the
SSD.
specs that they're aiming for.
Yeah.
They announced SSD, 8K, and ray tracing,
Yeah.
and that's really all we know about it right now.
I don't know if they announced the price.
And backwards compatibility.
Yeah. But haven't they also said that for once it's not proprietary hardware that's going into it? It's like
Yeah, it's
basically it's this chip, which is a PC chip. It's not like a variation of it which is only available for the console. So it's actually PC equipment going into the shelf for like the first time.
And it's the
AMD.
AMD. I want to say like net. All right, it started with an N. I forgot what it was. I had it, but
Moving away from Intel.
yeah, they're moving away from Intel. But even like with the Switch, they have Nvidia,
Yeah.
and so I mean, a lot more of these consoles are moving for PC parts and not so much as computer part, or not like Intel.
Yeah. I think they've always had like partnerships, but it's always been like a chip that was made specifically for that purpose. It's like when you tear like one of these consoles apart, it looks like a small form PC, but it's basically like you can't take any of that kit from the PS4 and stick into a PC.
Right.
Wouldn't convert over. But in theory, if they're using just stock equipment, then you could do that. And I think that's going to be what ends up pushing the price up. I mean, it's going to be... There's always been that sort of price gap, like, $200-$300 or something like that, where you haven't been able to make the same... You couldn't make a Xbox One X with the PC equivalent for the same price because it just wasn't feasible with the cost in parts. But I think if they're using more stock things, then you're probably going to see like more of a closer price. In theory, unless they like massively subsidize it. I guess they can because they're charging you, what, $60 for Steam, basically.
Software.
Yeah. So, yeah, they could probably subsidize it that way, but I don't know. Companies are greedy. They don't like to subsidize.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, if we can just charge you extra for something that you're already getting for free, we will do it.
Yeah, that's one thing. We're so lucky being on PC. Steam doesn't charge us any monthly things. When I got a Switch, when I got a PS4, monthly subscriptions and all
think
that. And I'm like,
The biggest kick in the nuts was when Nintendo did it. It's like, even Nintendo are doing it now.
You were the chosen one.
Yeah. Why? Why do you hate us now?
Yep. Yeah, no.
That kind of does bring in, though, we're talking about the console war, Microsoft versus Sony, but there is always, of course, the third player of Nintendo, who a lot of their ideas people seem to like, because there was the Wii with the motion controls, which then there was the PlayStation Move and the Kinect that came after that, so obviously people like that. And then now they've got the Switch, which is like, oh, it's a console, but it can become a handheld. So do you think that might be where the other people, like the Sony and Microsoft, go next?
Talk about exclusives.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo's always that like bully little kid on a playground that just kind of goes off in a little corner and plays by himself and does their own thing.
Plays with Pokemon.
Right. Nintendo has always done very well doing their own thing. They did handheld gaming before anyone else could do it, and everyone else still struggles with doing it. The only competitor that has ever even touched the mobile market for Nintendo is cell phones.
Yeah.
And that's been since the 90s. And cell phones really until like the introduction of smartphones, like back in maybe like 2008 with the iPhone, where it was really, started to take off.
Mm-hmm.
From the 90s to 2008, it was all Nintendo land. And they just owned the whole area. And I mean, they also had their own games, their own whatever. PS4 and Xbox, they had shared companies doing things with all of them. Then Nintendo didn't have that. They had all their own things. No one took them seriously, I don't think. And honestly, they got their ass beat for it. Because, I mean, everyone has always probably, if you're a console gamer, you had whatever Nintendo system there was, and then maybe a Xbox or a PlayStation, one or the other. But you always had a Nintendo system.
Yeah.
It's very
Because
good
you-
at being its own separate thing.
Yeah.
Right. It may be that own little kid on the edge of the playground, but that's the kid that grew up to be Bill Gates and just ran the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, they did their own thing. They knew what their niche was, and they just exploited the hell out of it. And they produced a lot, but also the quality of their games didn't really suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had such great games as like Mario Kart. But, I mean, before, like, recently, like with the Wii U and the Switch, that's where they've really started to take a hit.
Yeah.
Because now, they're trying to keep up with everyone instead of just doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're getting killed for it.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Wii when it first came out was awesome. It was revolutionary. They were still doing their own thing. Wii U, not so much. It was just a repeat Wii.
Yeah.
And the
Wii with
Switch is
tablet.
them getting back into their own kind of groove again.
Mhm.
But even at that point, they're bringing back a lot of their old games. And this is where the gaming industry is again suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're putting out new content. They're just revamping the old content and labeling it as new.
Yeah.
We are doing so good with these seamless segues.
So now we're into
I know that-
remasters.
Yeah, because I know that Kyle wanted to talk about this. But before we move over to that, I just want to say something quickly about Nintendo. I don't think any of the other console manufacturers like Sony or Microsoft will do the same sort of thing as Nintendo. I think they've both learnt that you can't out Nintendo, so
Yeah.
there's no need for them to release a handheld. I think when the 360 was around, I think that was the time for Microsoft to try its hand at a handheld.
Mhm.
I think it possibly would have worked, but then they saw the PSP, and
Yeah.
And
even though
decided
that
no.
was like an awesome piece of kit,
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
it just
It was
didn't
no
sell.
Game Boy.
No.
But here's
Yeah.
the thing. Nintendo has always gone against the grain.
Mhm.
In the age of where multiplayer games is all the rage, what is Nintendo doing? Not multiplayer games.
Oh no, well they do their own
Bravo.
thing. I mean, they do their own version of multiplayer, which is you want to play
Catch up.
multiplayer games? Yeah, buy one Switch. You can take the Joy-Con apart.
Yeah.
You can now play multiplayer games. You
Mhm.
don't need to even buy a second controller. You can just do it straight out the box,
Right.
One player. Two.
and it's
Yeah.
perfect, and it works.
Oh,
Yeah, I
it
think-
works
I
really
think
well.
the issue they had with the Wii U was that was a time when they were trying to do Nintendo, but also be the same as
Mhm.
Microsoft and Sony, and it just didn't work. It fell into
No.
that awkward middle ground where it just wasn't good at either. I bought a Wii U, and I loved having the
The pad.
tablet thing, and that's all I wanted. I hated the fact I couldn't play it away from my computer, not computer, the
TV.
base stationy thing.
Yeah.
It had to be
Within
within
reach.
Mhm.
reach of that.
I
The
think-
Switch, on the other hand, is perfect.
Yeah.
You now don't need a TV. You could it's a Game Boy, but better.
Mhm.
Right.
And I
But I
think
mean-
that's where they've hit like, Nintendo Gold again. Because you buy a Nintendo to play Nintendo games. You don't buy it to play Call of Duty
Call
or
of
PUBG.
Right.
Hey,
They
I
have all
already
their own
got the
IPs.
Wii.
They have all their own IPs. They have all these unique games that you can't get anywhere else. You can't play them on PC. You can't play it on Xbox, PlayStation. All you can ever do with Nintendo games is play it on a Nintendo system. And even at that point, you have the Nintendo DS, you have the Switch, and a lot of the times those games don't overlap. So you need
Hmm.
both the handheld and the console.
Yeah.
to play whatever games you want. Like the Luigi's Mansion. If you played Luigi's Mansion as a kid on the GameCube, it was a great game.
I was 25.
Shut up, old
Or
man.
in Rob's case, it's you're 25. You know,
Or
the
child.
rest of us were what? What were we, 6 or 7?
I don't know. Let's see.
Probably like that.
Give or take.
But
I would say Nintendo has like no competition because they focus on their audience. They know exactly where their audience is, and no one else is touching it. No one else is trying to get in there.
they can't.
Well, like what is like PlayStation has a few games that are meant for like they're in the cartoony style, and then they're meant for.
I think you mean Kingdom Hearts. They have Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, that's one. Name another.
Spyro.
Fortnite,
Okay, that's not.
Spyro, Crash
That's not
Bandicoot.
Switch.
But like
That's a remaster.
even Crash Bandicoot came to Switch.
Yeah.
Even Fortnite now is coming to Switch. The Switch is expanding their whole entire market while still staying Nintendo.
Yeah.
I think they've done the right thing this year. Not this year. This generation of being. When it first came out, it was, this is a Nintendo console. This is back to being a Nintendo thing. This is where you can only play your Mario, your Donkey Kongs,
Mario.
We're back,
Yep.
guys.
your Links, your things like that. And now that they're like, they've got all those bad boys out. Now it's like, all right, you can also play.
No, let's get the
We're
other
also-
stuff.
Yeah,
They
all
got
the
this stable
third-party
price.
stuff is now coming back in, which is the best thing to do. Last time though, the Wii U was massively underpowered compared to the other consoles. That it was just too much of a pain in the ass for third parties to like downgrade games to be able to get it on there. It wasn't cost effective for them, and that's why they lost.
But even the
People's
Switch
interest.
is kind of underpowered.
It is.
mean,
but it's got
it
a lot
is.
more heft than
But it doesn't.
it used
Yeah.
to.
I was dropping frames when I was playing their own game, Breath of the Wild, on the Switch. And that's a huge problem. When you have your own native games, not a port, not anything else, this game was specifically built for that system, and you're dropping frames in game. That's a
I
problem.
think you'll find that's a slowdown feature. It's not drop frames.
It's slow motion.
It's called cinematic.
Slow-mo mode.
Say, though, but it's the difference between playing it handheld and docked. I'm sure if you played it docked, it would have been a different experience.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you have to.
Maybe, yeah,
There-
because
But there actually are some games that look better on
On small.
on the small screen versus the big screen, and there's other games that it's the exact opposite. Like they don't translate well. And one of the
I
examples.
don't think I'd ever used the Switch as like on a TV. I think
Yeah.
Oh,
for me,
I
it's
always-
just
Mine's never
It's
been on TV. It's been
the
sitting right
perfect
Lined
handheld
up to my
console.
monitor.
Well,
Well,
and
yeah,
here's
you're streaming it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just hooked up to my monitor. I sit here, one controller, play, and watch on the other screen.
But here's the thing I really liked about that system. I could take the thing off the system, go walk to the other side of the house, play in my bedroom if I wanted to. When the remotes started to die, or no, not the remote, when the console started to die, I'd unhook the remotes, put it on the dock, play on the TV. I could play for probably 8 hours, just keep on switching it out.
there.
And
Switch.
with like Mario Odyssey, it worked out really well. Haha.
I was in, I think it was grade 6 when I first beat Kingdom Hearts 2. I think I was in grade like 5 when it came out. And I remember saying to my brother, I can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 3. I wonder if it's going to be in the next couple of years. I
What,
then
10
discovered the
years?
Dream Drop Distance and the Birth by Sleep and everything else in between.